Religious prohibitions can be fascinating, reflecting deep beliefs and traditions that vary widely across the globe. For instance, in Judaism, mixing meat and dairy is strictly prohibited. This rule, derived from the Torah's instruction not to boil a young goat in its mother's milk, means that cheeseburgers are off the menu for observant Jews. Orthodox Jews even wait hours between consuming meat and dairy to ensure compliance. Similarly, both Judaism and Islam forbid the consumption of pork. In Islam, the Quran describes pigs as impure, and some devout Muslims extend this prohibition to avoiding contact with pig products altogether, including pigskin footballs. Some Christian groups, like Seventh-day Adventists, refrain from working on Saturdays, observing the Sabbath as a sacred day of rest. In contrast, ultra-Orthodox Jewish communities take Sabbath observance even further by abstaining from using electricity, creating a 24-hour period of complete disconnection from modern conveniences. Sikhism includes a unique prohibition against cutting hair. For Sikhs, unshorn hair is a symbol of respect for God's creation, often kept tidy under a turban. On the other hand, in Buddhist traditions, monks and nuns shave their heads entirely to signify humility and detachment from vanity. These two opposite practices highlight the diverse ways in which hair can hold spiritual significance. Tattoos are another area of religious prohibition. The Bible's Leviticus warns against making marks on the skin, leading some Christians and Orthodox Jews to avoid tattoos altogether. In Japan, traditional Shinto beliefs often discourage tattoos due to their historical association with criminality, which can result in restrictions on visible tattoos in certain sacred or public spaces. Dancing is another surprising prohibition in some Christian denominations, like the United Pentecostal Church. It's avoided due to concerns about temptation or impure thoughts. Similarly, the Amish community prohibits card games and board games involving dice, believing these activities could promote gambling and idleness. In Hinduism, solar eclipses are considered inauspicious, and many devout Hindus refrain from eating or drinking during this time, viewing it as a period of heightened harmful energies. In parts of the Islamic world, the left hand is traditionally deemed unclean, so using it for eating is discouraged, with social etiquette emphasizing the use of the right hand. Certain religious practices are closely tied to geography. For instance, in Nepal, some devout Hindus avoid crossing specific mountain passes on holy days, believing these areas are sacred and should remain undisturbed. Jainism takes nonviolence to extraordinary lengths. Followers often avoid eating root vegetables like potatoes and onions to prevent harming organisms in the soil during harvest. Celebrations can also be subject to prohibitions. Jehovah's Witnesses refrain from observing birthdays and traditional holidays like Christmas, considering them to have pagan origins. Instead, they focus on anniversaries such as the commemoration of Jesus' death. In African tribal religions, masks used during rituals are considered sacred objects, and outsiders are prohibited from wearing them to avoid offending both the spirits and the community. Moving to the Pacific Islands, some indigenous Polynesian cultures prohibit women from eating specific foods, such as bananas and coconuts, during ceremonial periods. These restrictions often tie into spiritual beliefs about purity and balance within the community. In Rastafarianism, adherents follow an Ital diet which forbids processed foods, alcohol, and even salt in some cases. The diet aligns with their belief in living naturally and maintaining a pure body and spirit. Similarly, in Zoroastrianism, fire is considered sacred, and rituals are designed to avoid contaminating this pure element, including prohibitions on burning certain materials. The Yazidis, a religious minority in the Middle East, avoid eating lettuce. While the exact reasons are debated, some believe it stems from a historical association with a sacred figure in their religion. This unusual restriction highlights how specific foods can carry symbolic weight in certain faiths. In Catholicism, certain days of fasting and abstinence, such as Ash Wednesday and Good Friday, prohibit the consumption of meat. This practice is seen as a way to practice self-discipline and honor significant events in Christian history. Similarly, Eastern Orthodox Christians observe fasting periods where dairy, meat, and even olive oil are prohibited.